Hi, good morning or good evening, good afternoon, whatever time of day you're watching this video. Thank you so much for joining us today. My name is Melissa Tompkins Lewis. I am the owner of South Coast Veterinary Management Solutions. I'm really excited for this webinar today with Dee Allen, who's going to be talking to us about the human-animal bond. Hopefully you're able to get something from her information. We're really excited for her to present today. If you'd like to watch other videos of mine, if you're watching this live with me, or if you're watching this later, then you already know how to get to my YouTube channel, which is at South Coast Vet Manage 263, or otherwise known as South Coast Veterinary Management Solutions. So thank you guys so much. I'm going to go ahead and introduce you to Dee Allen. Dee has been a longtime friend of mine. I've known her for, I don't even know, like 15 years or something.
At least.
And yeah, it's crazy. And she is a longtime veterinary professional. She's been in the field for many years, and she is a certified veterinary practice manager like myself. She is the practice manager of Tustin Legacy Animal Hospital in Tustin. She's worked for all sorts of different types of practices over the years of time. She's also an RVT, which is a registered veterinary technician, for those of you who don't know. And she's just got tons of experience and a lot of stuff to share with us today. So Dee, go ahead and tell everybody about the human-animal bond. We'd love to hear more.
Thank you so much, Melissa. I am actually really thankful that you asked me to do this. I've been wanting to do this presentation for a couple of years. I actually became certified, it's been 2 years now. And I reached out to HABRI, which is the Human Animal Bond Research Institute, and asked, hey, can you send somebody? Sarah Botts and I co-facilitate the South Orange County Manager Group. And I'm like, this would be perfect to have somebody come talk to us, because our industry needs to hear this. Obviously, I know I'm preaching to the choir about how much pets are important to us, but having the science behind it was eye-opening for me. Anyway, I received an email that same day. Wasn't what I expected, because it was from the president, Stephen Feldman. And he's like, here you go, here's the slides. And with his blessing, he said, well, since you're certified, I do trust that you'll, honor what we want, our message and what we want to say. So I was like, okay, that was, not what I was expecting. And so I've been sitting on these slides for that long. And thankfully, Melissa asked me to do this, because it's been a long time coming. So thank you, Melissa. And we all know, how many times as a practice manager, when you interview an applicant, their first thing, like, why do you want to work here? Well, I love animals. Well, no kidding. That's why we're all here. But why do we love animals? What is that bond, and why is it so important to us? So I'm going to be sharing a lot about the science behind it. I kind of really geeked out on it. So without further ado, I just want to tell you about that. I'm going to show you a little bit about, see if this will, oh, this is not processing. You hear that? All right, let me.
There you go.
Okay. So there I am, crazy dog. And if you can see, there's little Frankie right there on my chest.
Oh
my
my
little
gosh.
kitty. At one time, I was the crazy Boston Terrier lady, and the joke is you can't have just one. They're like potato chips. So one by one, they joined our family. Unfortunately, actually in the background, you can also see I was a crazy bird lady too. I had Lady Goldie and finches that I was breeding. So sadly, all those Boston babies are gone, but right before the last one passed, which was Rocket, I saw the saddest Facebook post from a rescue, which obviously if you're on a rescue page, your heart's gonna break. But I fell in love with this Great Dane. He looked like a Boston Terrier. I'm gonna show you a picture of Elias. He thinks he's a lap dog too. He was full grown, but only 82 pounds, and just the most pathetic state you've ever seen a dog in. Happy to say he's now about 150 pounds. He's 8 to 9-ish years old right now, so he's definitely more gray, and it's sad that they do age faster, but we love this guy. So my joke is, and I wonder why I can never get anything done. This is what I do. This is my favorite thing to do all day. So, and I think Elias is the most amazing dog, but I love this saying. It's by W.R. Perch. Everyone thinks they have the best dog, and none of them are wrong, right? We all love our dogs. We all think they're the best, and cats too. I mean, any pet. If we have a pet, they're the best. So no one's going to argue with that. So this is just kind of a cute little video.
Right now, millions of humans are suffering from solo binge watching, empty Instagram feeds, and broken exercise goals. But it doesn't have to be that way. We pets can give them the life they deserve. A life with reduced anxiety and depression, better heart health, and increased social interaction. It's not too late. Adopt a human today.
Isn't that the best? I love that. So we think we need our pets. They need us more, but I don't know. It's an equal relationship that we have with them. So let's define the human-animal bond. The AVMA defines it as the human-animal bond as a mutual, beneficial, and dynamic relationship between people and animals that is influenced by behaviors that are essential to the health and well-being of both. The human-animal bond has a major significance for veterinary medicine because as veterinary medicine serves society, it fulfills both human and animal needs. Also, the National Institute of Health recognizes all future studies of human health should consider the presence of, or absence of a pet in the home, and perhaps the nature of this relationship with the pet as a significant variable. No future study of human health should be considered as comprehensive if the animals with which they share their lives are not included. And I say amen to that. So HABRI, the Human Animal Bond Research Institute, their goal and their mission is the human animal bond is universally embraced as an essential element of human wellness. So coevolution. Dr. James Griffin, PhD, says that what it really comes down to is that we think of ourselves as domesticating dogs, cats, and horses, but especially with dogs, it was really a co-evolution. They helped us survive as much as we helped them survive. And then the author of Biology and the Human-Animal Bond, Meg Daly, Ulmer, I can't even see the Ulmer, she says it's no wonder that a history of staring at animals have left us with a brain that can't help but seek them out and understand them. I did some research and I was looking up at the Smithsonian actually said that they don't really know. They know the dog was the first to be domesticated, meaning that they worked with us. We were able to train them that way, but they really don't even know which species was the first to be the companion pet, which I thought was interesting. They've done some studies. There is some clues that dogs and cats were buried with some very valuable items back like they're saying 12,000 years ago. They found some graves that had dogs had received special burials, and the Romans kept small little toy dogs 2,000 years ago, and only just a couple hundred years ago, European royalty actually made garments with special little pockets to stash their small dogs in them. So the crazy pet parent really isn't a new fad at all. I thought that was pretty funny. So, of course, I had to choose a Boston Terrier for this picture. Did you know that when a dog sees their human, their brain secretes secretes the same substances as when we are in love. So that is just, so let's go ahead and geek out on some science if you're okay with that. This is your brain on dog. So these are neurochemicals in our brain, the I had this word all memorized. Phenylethyl.
Phenylethylamine.
Thank you, because I don't have my glasses on. I'm having a hard time seeing it. Not only in our brain, but in dogs' brains, that is elation that increases. So let's give some love to both of us here. Dopamine, energized, both increase. Endorphins, the runner's high that we get, both dog and humans increase. And oxytocin, the happiness hormone, increases. Prolactin, the nurturing, also increases. And luckily, cortisol, the bad one, the stress, decreases. So they've done all kinds of studies on this, and I love that we both win on the science with that. Research also shows that pets are good for your health. So the American Heart Association has issued a scientific statement that pet ownership improves our heart health. Dog owners experience 65% reduced risk of mortality after a heart attack and 24% reduced risk of all cause of mortality compared to non-dog owners. And this is my favorite one right here too. Owning a cat makes you more likely to be alive 1 year after a heart attack because non-cat owners have a 40% greater likelihood of death. I'm actually trying to talk my husband into letting me get another kitty. I've had cats all my life, and Frankie, our little Sphinx that you saw in that picture, passed away 2.5 years ago.
Wow.
So I'm more than ready to get another one. I'm actually fostering a cute little kitten that my daughter found yesterday, a little 6-week-old little baby.
Foster fail, go.
I know. So I don't know if I should pray not that I don't fall in love or that I do. So we'll see what happens. Time will tell. Research, here's some more. Pets improve mental health. So not only our physical health, but they're also doing amazing things for our mental health. 74% of pet owners reported mental health improvements from pet ownership. Dogs have been shown to alleviate stress. Animal-assisted interventions were effective in treating depression. For people managing a long-term mental health problems, pets provide a sense of security and routine that provided emotional and social support. So, that's amazing. They're the reason we get up in the morning, right? Besides coffee. That just gets us up, gets us out, and gets us functioning out in the world. So it's no wonder that pets play a huge part in our mental health. Habry has also done some research for service dogs that help the veterans with PTSD, lowering overall symptoms of the post-traumatic stress, lowers levels of depression, higher levels of life satisfaction, higher overall psychological well-being, lower levels of social isolation, and greater ability to participate in social activities, less absenteeism from work due to health among those who were employed. And Canines for Warriors, I thought was really amazing because a lot of their dogs that they use are rescue dogs. So, it's a win-win for that one. So that was pretty cool in their research. And even just talking about pets can improve our human health. They did a study on 225 primary healthcare providers, and they were trained to ask their patients about their pets. 2/3 of the participants identified positive effects on practice and on relationships with the patients. The healthcare providers were able to leverage the presence of pets in patients' families and to incorporate the pet into patient management plans, including quitting smoking and increased physical activity. Asking patients about pets in the family reveals clinically relevant information, improves communication, and strengthens the therapeutic alliance. Dr. Regan, who is an oncologist, I love his quote. He says, when he sees cancer patients, he always writes in his Mayo Clinic history the name of the pet because none of us can talk about our pets without smiling.
Mm-hmm.
I love that. I don't know that this study caught on because I don't remember any of my doctors ever asking me about my pets, which is kind of sad because I really think that should be included in our history. The only time I remember them ever bringing up my pets is when I was going through chemotherapy. Was pretty brutal. And the nurse at that time, when I was about to get my infusion, she asked me if I had any pets in the house. And, of course, I have two. At the time, I only had 2 Bostons, but I have 2 dogs, 2 cats, and birds. And I'm, thinking she's being nice. And she's like, oh, no, you need to, they need to go somewhere. You cannot have them in your house during your immune system is so compromised. And I was trying to tell her, I'm like, these pets are my therapy. I can't even imagine going through this whole ordeal without them. And she didn't care. And so and she even said, I'm going to call your doctor and postpone this treatment until we figure out what we're going to do. And I just thought that was crazy. So I came up with a really quick lie. And I said, oh, I'm going to go stay with my aunt. And she she bought it. So whatever. But I'm like, oh my gosh, they don't understand. Our pets get us through these tough times, especially. So I just
My
wish Dr.
stepmom had cancer as well, and she was told the same thing, to get rid of my dog. And it was my dog that I had given to my dad. And
Mm,
so they ended up giving my dog to, well, technically she was his dog now, or then, but they ended up giving her to his best friend to take care of, because the doctor said you can't have the dog in the house when you're going through the treatments.
yeah,
So
I know.
it's
It's
very
just,
common
I mean, I
for,
get it. Yeah, she was under, my health was her concern, but my mental health was just as important, I felt. So I don't know, just interesting. So of those 1,000 family doctors that they interviewed or did the survey, they asked them, do you believe the health benefits of, there's a health benefit to owning a pet? And thank goodness, 97% of them said no. And those jerks, the small percent, I can't believe that they would say, I mean, that they said yes. Did I say that wrong?
yeah.
They,
He
yeah,
said no, and I
97,
was like,
yeah,
what?
sorry, I caught myself. 97% said yes, no,
Good,
yeah.
good.
Yeah, sorry about that. But the little jerks that said no, I mean, they obviously don't have pets themselves, so they lose. But I thought that was an interesting survey. Still with these same doctors, they've asked them, have you ever worked in a hospital, medical center, or medical practice where animals were used to assist patient therapy or treatment? And 69% said yes. And I don't have my glasses. 30, is it 31% said no?
31%, yeah.
Okay. I probably should get my glasses on just if I'm going to be doing this right.
One of the managers in our managers group here in Southern California, Jackie Wright, her dog, Dutch, is a trained and certified therapy dog. And she actually brings him into, different medical facilities. She takes them into police stations, she takes them places to interact with animals, because these proven things right here. So
Right.
she actually
So
does that.
important. That's my next, I would love, when I retire, that's what I'm going to do. And I really feel that that's such an important part, to go to children's hospitals if they'll allow
Yeah,
the pets.
for sure.
Or I did do that years ago with one of my practice owners, the veterinarian. He owned a cute little King Charles Cavalier Snickers, and we went to the local, um, I guess it's like a memory care, and a lot of the Alzheimer's patients were there, and they loved her visits. Some people sometimes, it was too painful to remember because they would always, recollect their pets and stuff. But I just got so much satisfaction out of doing that. So I definitely want to continue to do that. So if the medical evidence supported it, they're asking the same doctors, would you prescribe a pet for either the overall health or a specific medical condition? And there again, 74%, yay, said yes. And so 8% said maybe for just a specific condition, and 18% said no. So whoever those doctors are, whatever. So wouldn't you love a doctor to prescribe a pet for you? I
Yeah.
would love it, especially with my husband. Like, oh, the doctor said I had to have one. So let's talk about that. So I don't know if you've ever seen this one. This is super cute.
Discover relief from fatigue, depression, and stress. Discover Dog. Prescription strength Dog is the non-harmful treatment that is shown to lower blood pressure and risk of heart disease, prevent allergies in children, reduce stress levels, decrease anxiety and depression, strengthen your immune system, and increase social interaction. Side effects may include talking in ridiculous dog voices, picking up poop, making funny faces, being jealous of your dog kissing other people, pretending your dog has a job and has to pay rent, excessive social media posts, laying on the floor pretending to die to see if your dog comes to help you, having full-on discussions with your dog, feeling guilty if you don't tell your dog you love them before you leave the house, saying bless you when your dog sneezes, calling your dog by names other than its actual name, congratulating your dog's bowel movements. Discover better health. Ask your veterinarian about Dog.
Anyway, I just love that. I thought that was adorable. And here's a handout. This was actually with Zoetis and the pet effect through the Habri. You can actually get this download handout from their website, and I'll give you the links later. But there again, is dog right for you? For you? And of course, the answer is absolutely yes. What about cat though? So, well, actually, you know what? We're going to talk about dogs still. Sorry. Dog owners live longer. 3.4 million people over 12 years have been researched, and there's a clear correlation between dog ownership and longer life. Of people who live alone, those who have a dog have a 36% chance of living longer than those who don't have a dog. And I would venture to say cat owners, bird owners, anybody that has a pet is going to live longer just because they have that reason to get up, and that bond and that companionship is everything. So I love the research, so they have proof. Okay, but what about cat? Here we go.
I found a way to relieve my depression.
I found a way to lower my cholesterol.
I found a way to strengthen my immune system.
I found better health with cat.
In clinical studies, prescription strength cat has been shown to be effective in strengthening your immune system, preventing allergies in children, lowering cholesterol and triglyceride levels, reducing stress, and decreasing anxiety and depression. Side effects may include difficulty breathing because a cat is sleeping on your face, trouble working because a cat is on your computer, issues packing because a cat is in your suitcase. You may experience trouble peeing because your cat is staring at you. You may spend all day posting pictures of your cat on social media. Some cat owners experience nausea at the sight of dead rodents on their doorstep. Things might fall from tall surfaces and break because your cat knocked it off and doesn't give a kitty litter. You may feel a strange sensation that you don't own your cat, and that your cat actually owns you. Discover better health. Ask your veterinarian about cat.
So super cute. Cat Perfectus is the name. I don't know if I don't think they said this part, but I thought this was so funny. When using cat, you come up with nicknames like Cat Benatar, which I thought that was hilarious because I've always tried to play on words with my pets. We had Leo DiCaprio. He was super handsome. Lynx Point kitty cat. And my first Sphinx was Hairless Skin Ford. We called him Harry for short. And then we had Frankie Sinatra. So super fun to come up with those names. And so I had to laugh when I saw that because obviously I'm not the only one. So Habry Scientific Advancements, the first study on service dogs. So they've done all these studies. That's what they stand for, is trying to find out and prove that pets are such a big part of our family. For the post-traumatic stress, these veterans are getting better sleep, improved quality of life, increased work presenteeism, overall reduction in symptom severity. Major study on therapy dog welfare, 600 canine saliva samples, 400 videos, no signs of undue stress. So while they're doing their job, they've been able to prove that they're not under stress. They're doing something that they love. And then Habry's also been a part of the largest study ever on pets in the classroom. They did 39 classrooms, 591 students, third and fourth graders. They increased the pro-social skills, decreased problem behaviors, and improved academic competence. And I'm sure you've seen where they have the kids go to the shelter and read to the pets, which I think is super cool because it helps the kids read, and it helps the pet having some, paying attention to them, and maybe even falling in love and taking them home would be even better. They even put some dollar amounts on this. So 132.8 million pet owners, they visit the doctor 0.6 times less than the average non-pet owner, resulting in savings of $11.37 billion. And 20 plus million dog owners who walk their dog 5 times or more a week show lower incidence of obesity, resulting in a savings of $418 million. So we know obesity is a big thing right now, and it's comorbidity, all kinds of things that go with that. So a total of $11.78 billion in avoided healthcare costs. They've been able to actually analyze that and come up with that. So very nice.
That's amazing.
It is. So public opinion. So what do pet owners know about the science of the human-animal bond? They're probably like us, oh, we love animals, we love them, but do they really know the science? And will this knowledge affect their behavior as clients? What is the impact on the veterinary profession? So that's kind of what we're going to talk about, is what we can do to communicate that, the science and the importance. They've done some studies again, of course. They did a pet owner benchmark research. they wanted to know, they did one in 2016, and then they just did another one in 2021. So they wanted to evaluate the pet owner's understanding and awareness of the science of the human-animal bond and related health and social, I can't even say that, societal benefits. So they wanted to know the health improvements from pet ownerships have increased. Not much, you know, between 2016 to 2021, there was only a 5% for what they felt that their health improved. Then they were asked about their family and friends' health improvements. Nothing really to write home about there, but the mental health was huge. That's 12% increase that they felt that the pets were improving, making up their lives better because of it. 64% have discussed health benefits with other people. Of course, we always want to talk to her about our dogs, and of course, we have pictures on our camera or our phones to share. So that's always fun.
I was in a Starbucks the other day while I was waiting outside the IRS office, and there was two people, a couple next to me, and then another lady, and the other lady had a dog. And so they start talking, and the next thing I know, they're all sharing their photos on their phones about their dogs because the couple didn't have their dogs with them, just the one lady did. And it was the funniest thing to observe and see these people became friends over their dogs and their love for their dogs. So it was really cute. It wasn't it wasn't the dog park. It was Starbucks.
Right. I know. So you saw that in action. That's
I
awesome.
did. It was cute.
They've asked them about conversations about the human-animal bond to improve perceptions of veterinarians and increase the likelihood of visitations. So they really felt that the perception of veterinarians who discuss health benefits, 70% increased that. They really like the view of the veterinarian, a favorable view. In fact, I looked up a study comparing human physicians. In fact, let me get my notes here. Human physicians and veterinarians, which was nice that they actually felt that veterinarians were more approachable. Actually, it was okay. So the results showed, this was in 2020, that they perceived veterinarians more favorably than physicians. They felt veterinarians were more approachable, sensitive, sympathetic, and understanding, while the physicians were viewed as more proud, arrogant, and overconfident. So
Interesting.
yeah, I thought that was interesting. And so there again, they're asking these owners in this study, they want a doctor to talk about the benefits because they're going to listen to them. They trust them.
So what would a veterinarian say to the clients, to let them know that they understand the benefits of having that pet? Like, what would be a good phrase, or veterinarian or professional, whichever person?
Yeah, I just think that acknowledging like what we're going to talk about, just they're keeping their pets, owners that have the pets are going to the doctors more often. So just acknowledging that the pets are a very important part of our lives. So the awareness of the human animal bond research leads to better veterinary care. That's one thing. But as far as their own, they're just talking about understanding. I mean, I guess we're just going to be sharing and using some of these handouts that are going to be available on the Habry website to reinforce that we know that pets are a huge part of our lives and that we will live longer. So I don't know. I think it would just be a matter of having that conversation come up. Obviously, when you've got the overweight dog and half the time, well, I shouldn't say half the time, but a lot of the times the owner is a little fluffy too, right? It's hard to have that conversation to tell them that the pet needs to lose weight, but talking about, taking that pet out for a walk more often. And, obviously the owner is going to do that so that they're getting the health benefit as well. But yeah, that is a sticky conversation to have. I thought this study right here where it says the younger pet owners are more likely to purchase pet health insurance and are less likely to skip vet visits. And a little bit later, I have a little theory about that, but I thought that was interesting that the younger owners are actually getting the value of that pet because it's their children. Some of them are waiting to have kids later in life. So they really take it seriously, owning this pet. And the research improves animal welfare. They're more likely to take better care. So down at the bottom, it just says strongly agree or somewhat agree. So 91% strongly agree to these. More likely to spend more time with their pet, more likely to microchip their pet to ensure that it can be found or lost or stolen. Less likely to give up my pet for any reason, 68%, and less likely to leave my pet at home for extended periods of time. Sometimes that's unavoidable, but 67% said they strongly agreed with that. Awareness of human-animal bond research boosts pet acquisition. 87% said they would recommend a pet to a friend or family member. Get another pet in the future if one passes. That was always kind of a sad thing. I'm sure you've had that where after a pet passes and a client or even some friends of mine have said, I'll never be able to get another pet. It's just too hard to go through that. In fact, I heard that last night. One of my husband's friends told me that. It just breaks my heart. I mean, they need us just as much as we need them. And I don't know. Obviously, everyone grieves differently. I totally get that grief, but it's just so important for us to have that pet in our lives to make that difference. And maybe it's selfish because not only is it helping them, but it's helping our health too. But I think we have to remember that it helps them just as much. So, and we're almost done with this research here. Awareness of human-animal bond research boosts spending on pet care. So 91% strongly agree that they would spend more time with their pet, provide better and with higher quality nutrition, provide more pet toys, which, you know, it's so fun taking your pet to the pet store and letting them pick out their own toys, and spending more money on their pet overall. 77% strongly agreed on that. Awareness of the human-animal bond research makes for more engaged pet owners. Here again, younger pet owners are more engaged, significantly higher across metrics than older generations. So here's my thought on this. I was thinking about this when I was growing up in the 60s and 70s, and I know I probably dated myself, but back then, most of our pets were outside. We didn't really have indoor pets, which was weird, but weird to think now, but that's just how it was. It was nothing. They would come into the house and we would play with them, but they slept outside. If you think about Snoopy and the Peanuts comic strip, Snoopy had his doghouse. And that was just how pets were cared for back then. So what changed? Then I stumbled across a TED Talk, and it was a Dr. Susan Little. She's a veterinarian parasitologist. And so she was asking the same question, like, what has changed? Why are pets so much more, we're much more closer? They sleep with us. She actually had a statistic that half of dog owners and 3/4 of cat owners admit to sleeping with their pets. And that's just something we didn't do back then. So what I was thinking is back in the day when we had our pets, when we got married, we did sleep with our dog. And I remember looking, there was like little spots of blood, or I didn't know it was blood on our sheets for the first time. And obviously that was flea poop. And we, I was ignorant at the time, but I didn't know what that was. And we had major, major, major flea problems back then. I used to have to brush my legs off before getting into my bed. It sounds disgusting, but and we didn't have anything to control that. It wasn't until the 90s, I want to say it was the later 90s, that program, the Lufeneron, is that how you say it? Yeah, came out, program, yeah. So that was the monthly flea control pill. And that changed everything. That was revolutionary. And so since then, there's been so much more products that have been coming out, safer. I mean, Sentinel still has that medication in there, that ingredient. But so I really believe, and so did that Dr. Susan Little, that parasiticides have made a huge difference in our bond with our pets. So I don't know, Melissa, what do you think?
Yeah, that makes complete sense.
Yeah.
That you would have them inside more. Because I remember when I was a kid, my cat had really bad flea allergic dermatitis, and I remember the fleas being such a big issue.
Yeah, it was terrible. And so now as a practice manager, I'm actually, I would see those products and when the reps would come in and try to, get us to buy the latest and greatest, I saw it more of a revenue increase, but now I'm like, I actually have more respect for that product because it does bond us to our pets way better than I actually realized. So it was eye-opening for me to hear that TED Talk and to really, it makes sense to me. So I just thought that was interesting. I wanted to share. So strong support for pets in society. So we wanted to see if, if they believe that hospitals, schools, et cetera, should welcome and have therapy animal programs available. 92% strongly agreed. Government should provide service animals to qualifying veterans suffering from PTSD. I mean, you can see all these stats here. Emergency and temporary housing should accommodate pets. Doctors and specialists should recommend pets to patients for healthier living. I would be more likely to buy products and services from pet-friendly businesses. Health and life insurance companies, I think this is important. Health and life insurance companies should give discounts for owning a pet. Wouldn't that be awesome? Be nice to be able to put them on our tax return too. Claim them. The government should encourage pet ownership for a healthier society. The savings accounts and the flexible savings accounts should include pet-related expenses. I just think that would be awesome if they did. And there's a bunch of people that agreed with that, strongly agreed.
Who was the source for this?
This was back
Question.
on, let me go back to that. They had the
Just who
stats
was
in
the
there.
people? Because I know the other one was the physicians.
Yeah, they did the homeowner, or not homeowners, pet owners
Pet owners.
benchmark. It was a benchmark.
Gotcha. Okay. Thank
Yeah, they did one in 2016 and then also in 2020. Oh, 2021. So 5 years difference. So let's make the case. Pets are your prescription for health. They improve our animal welfare. They increase pet ownership, better human health, better veterinary care, and competitive advantage. So we just live longer, and it would be awesome if our doctors prescribed them.
Mhm.
And what is the saying? Like, if your symptoms persist, increase the dosage. So industry growth. The companion animal vaccine market is projected to be, this is kind of old data because now they're talking about 2025 and we're just about there, but to grow 66.8% during the forecast period. Strengthening the bond between animals and human has led to an increased demand for animal products, including pharmaceuticals and vaccines. The global companion, that was from the companion animal vaccines market analysis in 2019. The global companion animal care market is projected to register 6.3% during the forecast period. This rise owes to the growing human-animal bond, which defines consumers' willingness to spend more money on their pets. And the global animal hospitals and veterinary clinics market is valued about $67.3 billion in 2018 and is expected to grow to $105.22 billion of 11.8 through 2022. So we've already surpassed that. So
Do
anyway,
you know if that actually happened?
I did not research that. These were
Mhm, I
just
wonder.
the slides that they provided. So
Yeah, I wonder if it actually was the case.
yeah, well, at the end of this, it says, according to the the AVMA report, there was a correlation between the degree of human-animal bond and pet spending. So I think that's just the gist of these slides is, we're seeing that trend increase because of the bond increasing. So on the Habri website, there's some handouts and some great things you can use to back up all this that I'm talking about, but it's nice to have that resource to go to. I'll give the website at the end, but it just has all the infographics that you can use on your social media, downloadable materials, things just to start the conversations, and videos. That's where I found those cute videos too. So they have some fun things that we can use. So like the middle thing here, adoption helps both ends of the leash. I joke like who rescued who. I actually think I had a little sign somewhere. I was looking in my office here. I had that in my office at one time. But so 77% of pet owners say that pets and humans benefit equally from the bond, which no duh. But I just love this. There's proof. And about the cardio health, and pets help vets out the whole PTSD therapy dogs that are there. So that was the happy part. Now we've got some sad news. When the bond is broken. So what happens when that bond is broken? Hopefully we can catch it before we start seeing that the link start raveling. We can hopefully catch it as our healthcare team talks to the owners. But the top 10 reasons for dogs and cats being relinquished to the shelters include, for dogs, moving, landlord issues, costs of pet maintenance. Obviously, they don't factor in the cost of things, you know, food and good food that sometimes they'll feed them not the greatest, but and veterinary care is important too. Then they admit that there's no time for the pet, inadequate facilities, too many pets in the home, pet illness, personal problems, biting, and no homes for litter mates. These were actually a survey. They were talking to clients, not clients, but pet owners that were at the shelter ready to relinquish the pets. So they were asking them these questions and what was the reason. So this is how they came up with these answers. For cats, too many in the house, allergies, moving, cost of pet maintenance, landlord issues, no homes for litter mates, house soiling, personal problems, inadequate facilities, and doesn't get along with other pets. So, you know, some of those are really tough. I mean, that would be hard conversations to try to help, but so what, you know, I talked about, I'm human animal bond certified. I'm also fear-free professional certified. So that's really important that we can bring that into our practice and just help them be less stressed when they bring them into the hospital. So they have the resources. Their mission is to prevent and alleviate fear, anxiety, and stress in pets by inspiring and educating people who care for them. Animals are at their best when they feel at ease. Fear-free offers science-based behavior strategies to prevent and reduce fear, anxiety, stress for pets worldwide. So there again, there's tons of resources on that website. It's fearfreepets.com to help you help the pets and their owners feel better about bringing the pets to the vets. Then there again, the human animal bond certification that I talked about. I put a QR code in here if you want more information. It's high quality content. There's 18 hours of CE race approved credit. There's modules. In fact, Dr. Peter Weinstein is one of the speakers in one of the modules. I was pleasantly surprised to see him in that. So if you're interested, you can start today by going to Vetfolio. They're the ones that sponsor that course. And I mean, I think I have some pricing here. So certification courses obviously goes way more in depth than what I just covered. They demonstrate the role of the veterinary team in supporting and strengthening its effects. There's 4 modules and a final exam. If you're a Vetfolio subscriber, the cost of the certification is only $139. For non-subscribers, it's $199. If you want to know more about the Vetfolio subscription, because they've got all kinds of CE, that's at $359 a year to access their full catalog. So, and then once you're certified, you do need to recertify yourself every 2 years. And it's just a 1 hour quick little thing, and it's only $49, but it kind of just refreshed everything, which I just finished that recently. So Human Animal Bond Research Institute, the advance through science, education, advocacy, the vital role of the human animal bond in the health and well-being of individuals, families, communities, and companion animals. This is actually their mission statement. I think the other one I was just stating a fact that they said, but this is their mission. They actually go to Washington and advocate for these certain things. They've used scientific research to support the public policy, generate awareness for human animal bond science, and support key legislation, advocate for private sector changes that recognize the human animal bond. One of them is the passage of the Pet and Women Safety Act, which is PAWS. And what that does is, I have some details here. The PAWS Act established a grant programs for entities that provide shelter and housing assistance for domestic violence survivors to enable them to better meet the housing needs of survivors and pets. The law also takes the important step of including pets, service, and emotional support animals, and horses in federal law pertaining to interstate stalking, protection order violations, and restitution. These provisions provide law enforcement with additional tools for protecting victims and their abusers. So HABI was a big part of making that happen. They also have, here's another pause, the Puppies Assisting Wounded Service Members for Veterans Therapy Act. So HABI funded research, established the efficacy of service dogs for veterans with PTSD. They have a new 5-year study for the veterans to receive and train service dogs. And let me see if I have some stats on that. Yeah, just that just recently passed in 2021. So they're on top of that as well. So here we go. We've got some actionable items that we can do. What can we do as a team? To-do list here. These are just a few. I'm sure you guys can come up with all kinds of other ones, but just off the top of my head, first off is understanding the current emerging human-animal bond science. Just grasping that and just knowing the importance of it is huge. Provide transparent care by allowing the client to be present for all phases of the treatment of the pet. I mean, it's scary when you take your pet back to the back and they don't know what's back there. And just sometimes clients don't want to be back. So giving them that option, is it okay if we take Fluffy to the back, or did you want to be present while we did this? Melissa and I were talking about this last night, and probably the only time that they really need to be taken in the back is for x-rays and the client can't be there. But everything else, I mean, there's some new practices that are opening up that the owners are there for the whole thing. Some of them are letting them spend the night, which I'm not too sure about that, but it just shows you that transparency is everything. And that's what the homeowner or the homeowners.
And what I was talking about when we were talking yesterday, one thing that's so important is if you keep the animal in a room and have the client step out if you need to do a procedure that you're uncomfortable with the client being part of, because it's actually less stressful for the pet to stay in the room than it is to take them to treatment area where there's a lot of commotion, action, other animals and stuff. So if you keep them in the room, it's actually safer for them. They're more comfortable, safer for your team.
Yeah.
Even if you ask the client to step out. And I guess it's not quite as transparent if you do that, but I know not everybody's as comfortable drawing blood and things like that in front of clients, and not all clients like needles. So
right.
not a bad thing to keep them in there, but I love, the idea of keeping the pet and the client together as much as possible.
For sure.
Because there's so many complaints we've had, right? What did you do to my animal when they went to the back?
Right.
And I try to use the word treatment area whenever I can because it sounds nicer. But still, it's a negative effect on the client for sure.
Yep. And then also include behavior concern questions during the history taking. I don't know if we even asked that question. Is there any concerns you're dealing with right now? So we can catch those things before they become a big issue and they end up in the shelter. So give appropriate and science-based recommendations on training and a behavioral therapy, starting with the puppies and kittens at their first visit. So, I think that's so important. And identify and empathize with fear and anxiety in the pet and client might be experiencing. So I always joke, like we just assume the pet, the owner walks in the door, but that's a big deal sometimes to get the cat in the carrier, to get the dog, in the car. That's a big deal. I think we should be congratulating each one as they walk in the door, because the owner has fear. They not only for the fear of what's going to happen to the pet, but how much is this going to cost me? So there's a lot of anxiety going on. So, as long as we emphasize that we identify with it and we have empathy to understand what they're going through is huge.
I think that's a really, really great statement to make, because I think that when you tell the client, I know it's scary sometimes coming in because you're concerned that we're going to find something, but you can connect with them through that and provide them comfort if you sort of help them understand that that they may be uncomfortable, and then the ones that are not uncomfortable.
Right.
So I think that's a great thing to do, is I empathize with their fear. When I work emergency, I try to do that as much as possible and say, like, I know how hard it is, how scary it is. We're going to do everything we can. I acknowledge that up front as much as possible because I think it's so important.
Yep. And then, of course, bringing them into the equation of the care. Like, obviously, we have our treatment plans that are the gold standards, but sometimes, finances can't always do that. But, letting them have a say in what they can afford or what they can do. And always never assume that the owners can't afford it too. Always start with that high standard, gold standard care, because you just don't want to judge them on their pocketbook, because you don't know. Owners want to do the best for their pets, but having them part of that conversation and a part of that equation is huge. So what should your team not do? This is the don't do list. Don't use jargon. Avoid using technical jargon or complicated medical terminology without explanation. We understand it, they don't, and we don't want to assume that they understand what we're saying. So keep it simple and help them understand what we're trying to accomplish. And the dismissive attitude, I don't know, don't dismiss owners' concerns for questions that can lead to frustration and lack of trust. My other huge pet peeve is just the condescending. I've seen this unfortunately in some of our team members, when a client doesn't understand and we think there's, I don't know, I don't want to say stupid, but whatever. They don't know. Just like when I take my car to the shop, I don't know. I'm at their mercy. And I might ask some stupid questions. And I hope they don't go back and go, oh my God, you see that lady? She doesn't know what a wheel bearing is. Whatever. I don't know. But we just have to, think about, they can feed off of how we're feeling about them. And that can obviously lose their trust. Stressful environments, there again, we're going back to the fear-free. Don't ignore the impact of a noisy, chaotic, or unclean environment on pets and owners. That obviously can increase their anxiety and discomfort. And I think we already just talked about ignoring the owner input. Don't ignore or undervalue the owner's knowledge and experience with their pet. They are often aware of subtle changes or behaviors in their health. One time I had my dog, something was wrong. He was not playing with his ball. And the doctor was like, and this was a doctor I worked for too, but he was like, oh, he's fine. And we did a dental and he didn't see anything wrong. And I'm like, no, there's something wrong. So he got his magnifying glasses, whatever those, I forget what those called. I should know the term. Anyway, he goes, oh my gosh, this tooth is cracked. And he had no idea. I'm so glad I pushed it because I'm like, no, there's something wrong. And he even said, I'm never going to doubt owners. They know their pets. We know them better than most. So we need to listen to them. So in the future, in good times and in bad, we can turn to our pets for comfort, joy, and support. The Human Animal Bond Research Institute hopes that in sharing this information, more people will benefit from the human animal bond as a source of support in this time of need. And as veterinary professionals, we are trusted advocates for the human animal bond, and we can leverage this role to promote and strengthen its success. So all of this information I got was from thehabri.org. So please go to their website. They have so much information, so much resources. And yeah, you won't be sorry. This is something that I'm passionate about. Hopefully you can tell. So here's a cute little video of why we do what we do. So I just want to end this on a happy note.
Oh, boy. Yeah, good fish. Yeah. Good fish.
So just shows you it's not just dogs and cats. It's every species. We can benefit, they can benefit, and that's what it's all about. So there again, there's the habri.org website and my contact information. I would love to have anyone reach out to me if you have any questions, if about the program, the certification, or if you want to become a CVPM. I'd love to talk about that too. And this is a picture of my little old man, and I shouldn't say little, but
Your
Elias,
big old man.
he's getting all gray and sad. But yeah, So that's my presentation. I hope you enjoyed it. Hope you got something out of it. I hope at least it piqued your interest to want to find out more. And just that we as a veterinary support team, we have so much to do to get that word out and to make that connection and make that bond as strong as we can.
Yeah, thank you, Dee. I appreciate you coming on and doing this talk. It was wonderful. There's so many great things that we can learn and do better in our practices, and having a good understanding of how animals benefit the owners. And I think because we sort of get it in our field, that we can just reiterate that to clients and telling them that we understand that we know this, your dog calms you down when you're stressed out, and acknowledging all the good traits. I think that's a really great place for us to continue to do. So it's wonderful. So thank you so much for coming today. And hopefully if you haven't looked at my YouTube channel, it's South Coast Veterinary Management Solutions. And I would love to have you join. And I'm going to go ahead and pause recording. Everyone have a great rest of your day.